Uh, Later part of the time at our disposal, I'll be speaking about AppCampus, which is the most fascinating phenomena that I've ever touched with my fingers, and it's by far the most international one so far. Let's see what life brings. That's me in a nutshell. I'm a third generation entrepreneur, and entrepreneurship basically, to me, it's a inherited thing. It comes with the blood and milk that you swallow in your very early years of being as a human being. My father was a carpenter, and my grandfather was in the logging business. Both, by the way, had pretty good genes. My grandfather died at the age of 97, so I'm 51 now. I have so many more adventures ahead of myself. I just try to keep myself fit and healthy in order to see all this, what's there for me for the next 50 years or so. I have a track record as an entrepreneur. It's been one hell of a ride, from boom to bust, from zero to hero, so many times that I've stopped counting. And I've been involved with 50 or so companies so far. And in my current role as the head of AppCampus at Aalto Center of Entrepreneurship, I think I have a lot to deliver for the young entrepreneurial souls and minds, not just for the Finnish companies, but also internationally. I'll speak about that a bit later. There's not a single person in this country that would have raised more money as private equity to a privately held Finnish company. I've raised 38 million so far in 2 rounds of financing. That's when we got to know together with Peter. He was writing a research paper on Born Global concepts, and we definitely became one. I have a background as a professional writer. I'm a storyteller by nature, and I used to earn my living as a writer for the financial press and also as a photographer in the very early days. But then, 1997, I founded something. After bankrupting and losing all of my assets, I started something new, company called Digia, January 97, and I took the company through various stages into a phenomena which I left this spring in March. And the day when I started, there was nobody else but myself. But the day when I left, there was 1,600 people, and it turned out to be one of the most successful ICT companies in the Nordics. We started as a web consultancy, and soon the company evolved into a mobile software play. We were answering the request of Nokia at that time. We became the first Symbian house, and we very rapidly developed the company into the biggest external Symbian shop outside Nokia and Symbian themselves. We did 2 rounds of financing. The first one together with Finnish private VC company Equitech and Telia Sonera, which was national telco by then and still is. We raised 3 million euro in financing in July 1999, and 18 months later we raised a record round of 35 million euros from grade A name investors. The round was announced December 13th, which was Friday, by the way. The following Monday, the company would have gone bust if we didn't close the round. And the round consisted of 4 largest market caps in the world on that date. We had General Electric, Intel, Cisco, Sony, not just Sony Electronics, but also Sony Music Entertainment joining us. And obviously, TeliaSonera and Equitech invested also, and the lead investor of the round was Investor AB from Sweden, which is the Wallenberg family, the biggest institutional investor in Sweden. We didn't want to invite Ericsson at that time as a direct investor. We took the owners of the Ericsson instead. We developed the company very rapidly during the next few years, and we lived the life of an entrepreneur with these mighty eagle investors for 5 years. And finally, when 2005 spring comes, the founders of Digia, myself and a couple of other guys, we kicked out the investors from the company, and on the same date we took the company public in a kitchen door IPO, which was once 35 million euro investment, turned out to be a 40 million investment to the investors. So they gained 5 million from the round they did with us, and that's the date when I became the full-time chairman of the board of the publicly listed entity, and thereby pretty much fulfilling a young Finnish businessman's dream, becoming public. Based on those doings and activity, I was selected as the best service entrepreneur in Entrepreneur of the Year competition organized by Ernst & Young Accountants. That's a global thing, they do it in every country. And I had difficulty in believing that this is actually true for the first time, but once they did it for the second and third round, I thought finally that maybe there's something there, something that I don't understand what the judges thought about. That's basically my entrepreneurial career, or the flagship part of it. There's also other companies that I've been involved in with, but they're not that interesting. This is the most interesting part. And I think that this country, which is the mother country and home country of Nokia, is in a great need of reinventing itself, the way Nokia currently is in need of reinventing itself. And basically, I would say that every single person living in this country, whatever nation they might be originally, needs to reinvent themselves, and because future is going to be greatly different compared to anything that we've experienced in the past. I have a pleasure and honor to be in a couple of very interesting working groups. One is ICT 2015, led by Pekka Alapietilä. But the more interesting group that I'm working with is Finland 2030 Future Committee work, where we are defining scenarios how this country and companies and businesses and working life will, in general, will look like. And I happen to be one of the chairs of that group, and boy, it's gonna get wild. So it's been one hell of a ride so far, and I really feel privileged having been able to do all of this. And my current status of mind and mindset is about sharing. I could have retired and gone. I could have disappeared to the green fields, playing golf, or go to the blue ocean saltwater fishing or whatnot, but I decided not to do so. I still do those things as a hobby, but I'd rather do something that is relevant and adds value to the society and young entrepreneurial minds. So I joined Aalto as the head of AppCampus. We had a very interesting winter together with Will Cartwell, who's sitting at the back. Welcome, Will. And we developed a concept based on Will's original idea about addressing the situation in the ICT sector in Finland based on the strategy shift that Nokia made together with Microsoft earlier 2011. And it evolved into something very interesting, which carries the name AppCampus. And I joined forces with Aalto Center for Entrepreneurship this spring in April. We announced the program April 26th in this very room. Prime Minister Katainen was doing it, and I was counting his comments when he spoke to the audience here, that he said 5 times how pleased he was that he was here, and I think based on what we have been able to achieve, he still feels pleased. And we went live with the AppCampus program in May 14. We are currently in 66 countries, and we have today's figure is 1,142 applications submitted to us. And we've made so far 50 investments. A couple of investments were also made today. And we intend to do so for the next 3 years. We will be deciding upon one investment into a software company originating from somewhere in this world every single working day, 3 years flat out. And you guys know what Aalto is all about. This is a very interesting amalgamation of engineering, business, and design. We try to capitalize and build on top of that. We have a very solid funding, 3 million from Aalto University to cover the expenses of the personnel and operating cost. And then we have 9 million each from Nokia and Microsoft to be spent in young startups and software concepts. We are a new kind of an accelerator to generate, to enable the next generation of mobile experience. And very pleased to have a very professional attitude team. We are 8 people currently, and the team is totally thrilled about the opportunity. Nobody was given a more interesting opportunity to realize whatever they want to do in the mobile software area. Okay, when defining the project and the program, we had to think, what is this all about, and what's the niche we are addressing, what's the problem. And since we were able to provide a catapult or a catalyst or trampoline to these young teams, we decided not to do so. But since this is the mother country, home country of Angry Birds, we provide a slingshot to these teams. And in terms of acceleration, we are quite unique because we don't take any equity from the teams, we don't take any revenue share, we don't take any IPRs. They will remain the property of the developers. We are giving free money in that respect. The red color in my shirt might be well justified because it resembles from Father Christmas that brings the presents into every village. That's what we do. We provide the funding, that is grants, no strings attached. We also provide a serious coaching platform to the teams. We will be organizing, starting from November 5, 4-week batch of training for 20 teams. About half of them will be from Finland, other half will be from anywhere else in the world. And it's the kind of a startup sauna type of a deal where people will be really accelerated and elevated into a different clock speed that they were previously running. AppCampus will provide a 700 strong alumni over the next 3 years. There's exceptional value in this network of companies once we put them together. God only knows what's going to come out of that. The only thing that we are asking in exchange for the free money and free ride is the 6 months exclusivity towards Windows Phone and Nokia platform. I'll explain that in a while. Oops. There's a new ecosystem out there. Everybody speaks about iOS, Android, and not too many people realize how things actually work in real-life conditions. Some of the other marketplaces for applications are very, very crowded today. In App Store, for example, there's 700,000 applications, out of which 400,000 nobody downloads. The opportunity to make any living out of that is very thin, and same applies with Android. Simultaneously, there's a 500 million strong device base by Nokia Series 40, which is by far the most distributed operating system out there. Windows Phone is just about to come out, Windows Phone 8, together with Windows 8. And that alone represents another 500 million business opportunity within the next 12 months of time. So we are basically providing the developers that we work with a 1 billion device installed base in next 12 months. A lot of new business opportunities there. We are providing virgin terrain for developers to do differentiation and evolve a significant play in a market that is in a definition phase. And in that respect, the developers who want to address this market, the market of mobile software and applications, they really should stop for a while and think about it. And after thinking, it will be fairly easy to do the judgments between Red Sea and Blue Ocean strategy. A lot of new monetization opportunities that where we will be helping these teams. Okay, who are we looking for then? We are looking for developers that breathe mobile and love to deliver great mobile user experience, because it's all about experience. And we are looking for entrepreneurial souls and minds, my soulmates, people who want to make their own success story by themselves. And then we are looking for facilitators, universities, angel investors, incubators, governments. Actually, already several governments have made a decision to match AppCampus investment with a similar amount of money, which is great news. First country to sign is India. Okay, the technicalities of the program. We provide funds in the chunks of 20, 50 and 70,000 euros per application. Then we provide the coaching and education platform for the selected teams that are qualified in the program. All targets into product orientation, because that's the Achilles heel of not just Finnish companies, but many of the software teams floating around. Then we provide the professional software development process and quality assurance practice by ourselves. And on top of that, we bring the go-to-market partnerships, not just with Microsoft and Nokia, but also with big name operators, the global leaders, as well as large media companies who can provide as a minimum 10 marketplaces, 10 countries. We are running the show from Open Innovation House. AppCampus is going to have a 1,000 square meter co-working place, and it will very nicely fit into the picture what we see in this very building at Garage, and it will be the third iteration from the same team in terms of how working spaces are being designed and made in practice. Open Innovation House, by the way, has decided in between the tenants that anybody who's having a badge like this will have a free access to anywhere in the building except the most secret product chambers of Nokia Research Center. So we intend to and are actually in practice breaking the borders that hinder the liquidity in the building in terms of information flow. A little bit more in detail about the qualification criteria in the AppCampus funding. First of all, the applications, they need to be first to market, innovative concepts that are not yet available on other mobile platforms. They need to support some of the key features and APIs of Windows Phone platform, such as NFC, for example, which will pretty much revolutionize some of the application areas, such as payment, control systems for doors, many other things. Apple doesn't have this. It's a great differentiating factor for Windows Phone and Nokia. But that's just one. I have a 41 megapixel camera there in my back, and another big stronghold for Nokia, as well as maps. But there are others. That company still is a great innovator in mobile phone technology. The applicants also need to demonstrate design elegance and technical quality, as well as the potential to drive the ecosystem that we are building together with our partners. Okay, 20,000 euro goes for time-killing games or some other type of simple applications, 50,000 euro for concepts that involve an embed cloud component, 70,000 euro goes into more complex systems that embed in App Store, transaction mechanisms, and so forth. That's the process, but I understand that it's very late hour already, and this is a bit complicated, but there's a process there. The thing worth mentioning perhaps here is to where the money is. You need to provide a application beta in order to get the first tranche of 30% financing, and the remaining 70% will get payable once the application is being distributed at Windows Phone Marketplace or Nokia Store. There's an online process to support this at appcampus.fi. Takes about an hour to fulfill the online form, and then our screening team sees whether it fits the criteria. We do a design review and decide upon the award category. Here's the team that I'm particularly proud of. There's more than 100 years of mobile software experience in this team, and it's a multicultural team, multidisciplined, and speaks 10 languages natively. This is us a week ago, 66 countries. Anywhere you see color other than gray, we are, and that's the pipeline. As you can see, Finland is about 1/3 of the deal flow. United States, Russia, Ukraine. 1,000 applications submitted to us. We reached basically without any marketing, and we just started our marketing activities about 3 weeks ago in TechCrunch San Francisco together with Nokia, and we simultaneously did 5 events in Israel. But we will be touring the Western world, US and Canada, UK, France, Germany, by the end of this year, together with Microsoft and Nokia. Microsoft is spending $1 billion US in the marketing campaign and launch campaign of Windows 8 alone, and that campaign is going to be followed with the Office campaign. So expect to see a lot of not just advertising but other activities. AppCampus will be hosting the biggest software hackathon between 5th and 10th of November. WowZap is the name of the event, and there will be about 10,000 developers participating in this event, which is a global one. About 500 to 600 developers will join us for the hackathon, which will take place in 9th to 10th November. There's free money on the table. Come to speak with us if interested. We can provide you a very, very interesting future, or your friends if you have one in the software area. By the way, 70% of our deal flow is from individuals that are not yet incorporated as a company. So if you have a great idea, you might qualify with your idea. If you don't have a company, don't worry, we'll get you one. And that's where I would like to end, and I'm opening the floor for questions.
Yes. Let me just give you a short question. What's the name of the hackathon?
WowZap. The website is open. It's been open for a couple of days. If you look, it's WOWZAPP, WowZap. I have no idea who came up with that name, but geeks.
Other questions? Yes, just hang on, let get this.
Hi, my name is Daniel Downing. I was just looking at the statistics there, and it said release 1. Can you give us an idea of what that was? And also, can you give us an idea of sort of what's the most exciting apps that you've seen coming through here?
Okay. We are pretty secretive about the things in the pipeline, and but we still do give some early information about the outcome of the program. There will be, for example, an article on in Kauppalehti about AppCampus and 3 companies that we have been supporting on Wednesday this week. We just did it today. There's, for example, a Monster application that is not Monster, kind of a job application program or an application that's in the pipeline. It's a challenger company to Monster. Then there's one company that is dealing with blood sugar. It's for the children with diabetes. Then there's level games in the system, but other than that, I rather zip my mouth because it's all about the idea, and there's a lot of talent in this country. And in general, I would say that the applications coming from Finland are higher quality than from elsewhere. So we've been forced to kill even some of the pretty good concepts that have been sent from Finland because there's just an overflow of them. About 5% of the deal flow gets financed, so the barriers, they're pretty high. And you really need to know what you are doing in order to be qualified.
Other questions? Quiet group taking notes. No app developers here?
If not from AppCampus, how about from being as an entrepreneur?
Yes.
Because I'm prepared to take any sort of questions from there, if you have something in mind.
Oh, quiet group, come now. I'll ask something provocative, Pekka. I'm Canadian by birth, lived a lot in the US. The innovation system in Europe is heavily dominated by public money. Do you think that actually snuffs out high growth entrepreneurship? In the US, you have to face, we basically don't have any government in the US at all. They don't provide grants for anything, and then you end up having to go face to face with either business angels or venture capitalists very early on. Do you see a difference in aspiration levels from the way that entrepreneurs get starting out funding? Are these two?
That's a very good question, and actually, as a part of our working group outcome for Finland 2030, we are proposing certain areas where there wouldn't be any subsidies by government, but there still would be money available for those, and we just want to get rid of the over-organizing of things and pampering people in areas where they need not to be pampered. And there will be trials started on this already next year. So we don't have to wait for year 2030 to see what's the future going to be like. I would say that probably it would be a healthier outcome if we didn't have the government involvement at all.
It's a big debate. It's a very big debate. Questions?
There's one.
Oh, one at the back. Yes.
Hello. My name is Risto, and I'd like to ask that since I understood that you have done quite many companies in your history, and how have you been able to get started with the new ventures after probably you've seen all the ways of getting out of a venture, and some of those have not been probably great. So after failing, what's been motivating you to get back on your feet and start all over again?
It's all about guts and sisu. I think key thing there is to decide fast and move on. If something fails, you just lift your hat and move on, because life goes on, and if you miss one train, there will be another. Richard Branson has said that there's just too many buses there, a bus representing a business opportunity. If you just miss one, wait for a few minutes and there will be another one. And key thing about decision making, being fast, is that if you process your 10 decisions very rapidly and you miss with 3 of them, already by the next trench of 10 more decisions you can do the corrective moves. This country is sitting in the sofa and working their mind out in order to come out with a perfect scenario. There won't be any perfect scenario. You just go and do it. sink and swim, sink and swim.
Any questions? Yes. Back.
Hi, Dan again. What's the biggest challenge you see young startups facing?
I do recognize a great change in the mindset of entrepreneurs, what it used to be in the past and how it looks like now. And I think that from establishing a company and funding it, the situation has never been better than it is now in Finland. The early stage financing is available there, and the government is working their asses out in order to create new jobs and encourage the entrepreneurship. That's a tough one to answer, actually. Maybe the lack of courage. People they're not brave enough. And we have been trained and raised in a too safe environment where everything has been taken into account in advance. That has obviously created a northern welfare state where taxes are high, and I don't know whether we can support that much longer than we have done. I doubt it. So enjoy as long as it lasts.
Any other questions?
I didn't want to be too pessimistic about this, but it's a late hour, yeah. Whatever you do, you should be having fun. So even if it's raining out and there's no light.
Corporates find it very difficult to get into this kind of entrepreneurial groove. Pekka, what's your initial signs from the Nokia and Microsoft side? This has got probably some fabulously pushy stuff that you're going to be putting into their horizon very soon. They enjoying this?
Yeah, very much so. I think we have made great ways in terms of taking this program and initiative forward, and obviously in the very few first months they struggle with themselves because we are definitely a different kind of an animal compared to some of the large corporations, and but we start to get some very great and unique recognition. By Thursday yesterday, last week alone, we got 3 letters going out to global audiences just from Microsoft, and guys like Daniel Levin and who was Steve Jobs' marketing director for 11 years. He sent out a letter about AppCampus, and Bispark and Todd Fricks, who's the head of Windows Marketplace, sent another letter, and Brian Hoskins did a blog. So when these guys move, we see immediately our deal flow goes picking up. And same is happening with Nokia. There's a field force of 400 people around the world in developer support, and they just love working with us because we are bringing some of the toys into the game that are missing.
With the speed and agility that many big companies find very, very difficult to do typically.
Yeah, and this is exactly why we didn't take any government money,
Yep.
because we would have introduced to ourselves the red tape and bureaucracy, and we need to be able to decide in a matter of 2 to 4 weeks. Once we get a submitted application, we need to be able to go back to the team and tell them whether it was a go, maybe, or no go.
Do you see this potential spin in other corporate sectors? I deal a lot with companies that have a terrible time dealing with non-conformist stuff in mothership.
Hopefully.
Good.
there's a lesson to be learned in everything you do. And I know what I'm talking about.
Okay. I think that, if you ask a bunch of IT students, for example, like innovate, then they probably think of something, social something, or because they're IT people, right? And I think that the innovation happens somewhere in between when you cross like health or biology with IT. And what are your thoughts on this? Like you're in these programs, you think of like ICT 2015 or where do you think the innovation will happen? Like where's...
I would say one big group of individuals where a lot of software innovations will happen is the female part of the human mankind. Because, you know, applications, they are all about logistics, and female logistics is a bit different. And if you haven't figured this out yet, you will. And there's a lot of female applications and kind of the usability and other parts that are missing. We will also eyewitness a lot of innovations which will be related to sensors, and sensors being embedded into application concepts. Human body will be a great source of information. We are in a design house now, and I'm already familiar with concepts which will look like jewelry in your wrist or ears or somewhere else in the body, and they will be providing heart rates, they will be providing heat and other things in form of data to be sent to the mobile handset you are having, and then after having also a cloud component. So a lot of distant monitoring, for example, for doctors and all, a lot of applications in the health and medical sector. We have most of the technologies we need. They're already there. They just need to be deployed and delivered.
Going back to AppCampus, so let's say I'm a developer, I make my application or submit my application to AppCampus, but for some reason you refuse it, decline it, and I don't get any cash. Are the other forms of help still available? So the co-working space, the mentoring, etc.?
We will be pretty busy with the 700 company portfolio.
Okay.
So I doubt it. You just keep on trying, keep on submitting.
Okay.
But on top of the money, I would say that the coaching and go-to-market partnerships that we will be providing to the teams will be even more valuable. Money is just the starting point of a relationship that will last for years, I would say.
Great. Any last question? Oh, one question there. Last question to you, sir.
I was wondering, like you said, that the many applications are connected with the sensors. So are the concepts that require an external product also applicable for this AppCampus?
Absolutely.
Even when the additional product is not yet developed?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We are after novel ideas.
Yep.
Concepts that were never done before.
Great. On that inspirational note, Pekka, thanks very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to give us an introduction to this really exciting area of the AppCampus for Aalto. I think some of you might want to have a conversation with him and pin him down before he leaves. Thanks very much again.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity.
And Risto, remind me our next date with